Dragon Ball Super Dope. Super Dope. 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 A little bit of a different episode for you today. But before we get to it, a little bit of news, speculation, 4334. Basically, Toei and Funimation came out with a little Twitter tease the other day. One tweeted out a 3-star Dragon Ball, one tweeted out a 4-star Dragon Ball. So I want to talk to you about that real quick. But this was going to be like a special extra episode for this week. But alas, I find myself drowning in other shit that I gotta get done. So this will be the main episode for the week. We are going to be talking with my friend Mark Cooper in just a couple minutes. He is a nerdcore rapper, and he had a new album drop yesterday, Saturday, the Allspark, and we're going to be listening to a couple tracks off of that, including a track called Super Saiyan. Shit's dope. So we're going to be listening to that and talking with Mark a little bit more about how we got into production, rapping, how we got into Dragon Ball, his general thoughts on Dragon Ball, and listen to some new tracks from the Allspark. But before we get to Mark, Friday night, I am chilling, getting some shit done before I go to bed. And I think I saw Ken Zaro tweet it out first about this 3-star, 4-star Dragon Ball thing. And he's like, oh, some news is coming in less than an hour. Be on the lookout. And I'm like, what does Ken know? And then I saw a couple other motherfuckers like, oh, look out. We're going to be breaking this huge news down for you in just about an hour or so. All sorts of shit like that. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, man, do I have to stay up for the next couple hours because there's a Dragon Ball Super announcement coming? And I said, nah, fuck that. I got shit to do. I'll do it in the morning. In case the news breaks overnight, I'll wake up to some good news. Word, right? I wake up the next morning, and it turns out it is the news that these guys were teasing, this legendary news that these two companies were teasing in tandem, which I think is very interesting, is basically that for the 30th anniversary of Dragon Ball Z, and apparently for my 30th birthday too, so what's up? They're going to be releasing a 30th anniversary complete Dragon Ball Z series on Blu-ray with some bonus content. And it looks like it's a North American Blu-ray release exclusive, which makes sense given that Toei is announcing it with Funimation. But interesting caveat to it, it's actually not a completed thing yet. Now, back in 2011, Funimation made attempts at, I believe they put out the first 2 volumes of Dragon Ball Z on Blu-ray, and I'm not sure which episode that goes up to. I'd have to double check the episode counts, but it got to a point in the production of transferring over to Blu-ray and restoring the footage that it got very difficult to repair some of the older animation cells and some of the audio, from what I understand. And it just got so cost exorbitant that at a certain point, it just didn't make sense for them to continue to put them on Blu-ray. They just weren't going to make money back on them. Flash forward, 7-8 years, and the technology has advanced in a way where it's probably much more financially viable to be able to do it. But they meaning Funimation, they are going to need at least 2,500 pre-orders for basically for them to get the okay to print a set. They need to be able to guarantee that they've got 2,500 units pre-sold in order for them to be able to justify the cost on, restoring these to Blu-ray. That should give you really, a solid indicator as to how much cost is associated with a project like this. But Funimation and Toei are going to throw in some cool sweeteners. It does say with new bonus content, so I don't know what new bonus content is. That's a little vague. But it also does give you North America's first ever full-size hardback art book, available only in this set. Only in this set. And also an exclusive collectible figure not available anywhere else. And there's so much more to come, but we can't do it without your help. And then they go on to explain they need to be able to pre-sell at least 2,500 of these. So that was the big news. And don't get me wrong, that's really big news. Like, this is enough for me to, I've got a Blu-ray player, but I don't think I own more than, say, 5 Blu-rays. I just don't really give a shit pretty much at all, but I'll give a shit about this. I will definitely be happy to be one of those 2,500 pre-orders for Funimation and Toei. So it's big news for sure, but it's not the news that we all wanted it to be. Hopefully we will get the announcement for the return of Dragon Ball sooner rather than later. So yeah, that's the one little update I've got for you guys before we get to this conversation with Mark Cooper and listen to some tunes off of his new album, The AllSpark. Mark is a nerdcore rapper, as I mentioned before, from Detroit, so it's a remote interview. Sometimes remote interviews are frustrating from like a sound perspective, just because you're relying on the internet and just fucking too many other variables. So audio is a little rough at points, but just bear with it. The tunes sound fucking great. Hope you dig the tunes. If you do, you'll be able to download them on Spotify. Mark Cooper. And toward the end of the episode, he does give out his relevant website information as well. So be on the lookout for that stuff. Other than that, rate, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, blah, blah, blah. We love you guys. And we'll we'll talk to you next week. Patrons, new OGDBs went up the other day. Be a couple more, another one of those this week, and MHA podcast up as well. My Hero Academia. What the hell do we call that show? Super dope. Plus Ultra. Yeah, that's what's up. All right. I will talk with you guys soon. Look. All right. Dragon Ball Super Dope. Welcome in, special episode this week. My name is Kyle. Joining me today is a friend of mine who I've talked about on the show a couple of times. We started to interact through the social media page. I think it was Facebook or Instagram a couple of months back. And he, basically said, hey, I'm a fan of the podcast. I also happen to make my own tunes. I'm a rapper. And, I got some affiliation with the band SSJ. And I didn't know what the hell SSJ was in that moment, but I looked into it. And SSJ is that Falconer studio musician band that we've talked about on the show before that played at Kamehacon this past year, and I assume we'll be playing again this year. But we got to talking, and his new album, The AllSpark, is going to be dropping on Saturday, March 2nd. Joining me today, my friend Mark Cooper. Mark, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. What day is it? Is it Thursday?
Yep, definitely Thursday the 28th, the last day of the month.
Cool, man. I don't have like a regular job anymore, so sometimes the days of the week elude me a little bit.
Yeah, I've been there. So
the AllSpark, man. You sent me a little bit of a sneak peek of what we can expect to hear off the album. And I really want to talk to you kind of about, how you got into making music in the first place, how you got into Dragon Ball. And I want to take a listen to this tune first. But, I guess we're plugging the AllSpark on. That's going to be released on Saturday. Talk to me about how you got into making music in the first place.
Well, to be honest, I started making music around when I was 16, 17, which is a little bit of ages ago. We're talking 2004, 2005.
2004, so that puts you, what, 88, 87?
87.
87. I'm 89, so we're pretty close in age.
That's good. We experienced the 90s just like everybody else. That sounds good.
Damn right. And it was the last great era, I feel.
I agree.
Now the internet ruined everything. Yeah,
it did. It will be hard, though.
Right.
But I started around that time, about 17, 18. Funny story, I was my dad worked all the time. So usually I did a lot of, being at home alone kind of thing. So I was a guy that got into video games, things like that. I was one of those kids that ran home before 5 p.m. to catch Dragon Ball Z for Toonami. You know what I mean? That was something I did as a kid. So I always was in that era when it came to that. When I got into it, the microphone I actually grabbed from this, funny, is a PS2 game my mom bought me for Christmas. It was called Bring on the Mic, and it had Jadakiss on the front. So what you could do is it came with a USB microphone that you can plug into the PS2 and rap with your friends and all that stuff. Well, the game was awful, period. But the mic part, what I was able to do was able to plug it in USB. And I got a program from my cousin or something like that. And then that's how I really started to rap. I started to rap with a USB microphone and a Cubase limited edition thing that only allows you to do so much. And that's how, it came from there.
So you started to get into the rapping part of it first. When did you start getting into the production aspect? Because, granted, the lyrics that we're about to hear, especially in the Super Saiyan song, the first song we'll hear, yeah, that one's a great example. I think our fans will appreciate it because it's so densely packed full of Dragon Ball references. And that's how a lot of your lyrics are structured. They're pretty dense, but I personally love your fucking production style. When did you get into the production aspect?
To be honest, I got into it around the same time, probably about 19 and 20, because that was around the era where the internet wasn't as big as what it was, and you just couldn't figure out how to get any beats. You would go to SoundClick and be able to download them and stuff, but then you'll feel bad because you'll be like, well, I don't know how I can pay you. I don't know how, I didn't have a debit card and things like that. I was like 19, 20, so, any money that we had either went to, for college when I was in college and things like that, but I didn't get extra student loan stuff. So I just had enough to pay for the tuition because we were paying out of pocket at first. So we never really got into the loans and all that. So I only had enough money to be able to eat every day. That's probably the best way I can explain that. So when I was able to do that, then I was looking like, okay, I don't know how to buy these beats. These beats are cool, but I don't know how to buy them. So my first beat, the funny thing, the first beat I ever bought from somebody, I sent it in cash by letter mail. I got a birthday card and I put it in the money in the card and sent it off to him.
God damn. How much did you pay for it?
$125.
So not always having that kind of extra budget to be able to buy beats, it came out of necessity. You were like, fuck, I want to make beats, or I want beats. I guess I'm gonna make my own because I can't keep shelling out $125 a clip.
Sure can, man. So that's when I got into FL Studio with it. First, I got into Acid Pro. I really wasn't great at that, but once I found FL, it's history from there. So I've been using it for 12 years now. So
that was back when it wasn't even FL. That was just Fruity Loops.
Exactly.
Wow, that's awesome, man. And you stuck with it. Are you still using FL today?
Oh yeah, of course.
Cool, man. So when do you decide that? I guess this kind of bridges into the big question I want to ask you. But when did you decide that you were going to start working Dragon Ball Z stuff into your lyrics?
Well, the funny story is the reason why I got into beats is because of Bruce Faulconer, like knowing the dubs, the feels, all of that stuff. Yeah. That it's a very interesting story how this is brought up. And I'm glad you brought it up. So it's going to be interesting.
Good, because historically, I know that you've listened to the show, but I don't know if you caught the episodes where Bruce Faulconer is not my favorite dude. I'm a big Kikuchi guy. Like, I love and appreciate those original scores so much. When I hear the Faulconer stuff, maybe it's just because I'm already tainted by knowing the Kikuchi score, but I just don't appreciate it the way some kids who only experienced it through Toonami back in the day did.
Well, to be honest, that's just how it was. Like, the first real anime I've actually seen that was beyond that was Ronin Warriors, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. I've always liked Japanese scores and things like that, but it's just something about when it came to the English dub, it was triggering. Like the way the emotion is, the music, the way it was put together was triggering for me. So I've always wanted to have beats that give you the feels. You know what I mean? That's why I aim for. Okay. But when I found out later on, it wasn't Bruce Faulconer, it was a group of other guys that I've been looking up to all these years who really meant a lot.
That Faulconer was basically just ripping off.
Basically, well, not necessarily ripping off. It was a work for hire. Yeah. So that makes total sense.
Yes, that's the way the contracts are structured. The fact that they didn't get credit isn't, on them. It's just the way that it was structured. They got paid for the day.
It's how it was in the 90s, man.
Yeah.
So it's not really anything you can really say about it. So when I met them at KamehamehaCon, I was starstruck. I just was like, I didn't know what to say. And then I was like, they decided, it was like, yeah, we're going to come together. We haven't seen each other in about 15, 16 years.
So hold up. I think we just skipped a major step here. How the hell did you figure out who those guys were if they didn't get the proper credit back in the day?
You're going to laugh, man. Actually, I went to MegaCon in 2016.
Okay.
And I met, Chris Sabat and Sean Schimmel. And Chris didn't hint anything, but he let me know. He's like, look, Mark, I mean, I know what you were talking about, because at first I wanted to see if I could do a beat tape with DBZ and then get the voice actors. That was the plan.
Right.
But Eric Val, the voice of Trunks, told me, he said, Funimation owns our voices, dude.
Oh, wow.
What are you talking about? And then they're like, yeah. So if we do anything outside of Funimation, we do copyright infringement.
Wow.
So voice actors technically can't do outside projects without the permission, because Funimation owns the art of that voice acting.
So basically, I know offhand, Monica Rial, for example, is one of the voice actors who works for Funimation, but also works for the guys at Rooster Teeth on that show Ruby, which I've never watched. But like, basically, for her to be able to go do that, Funimation had to sign off and give her a permission slip. Basically, is what you're saying?
For what I understand.
Huh, that's pretty interesting. I didn't realize like they owned the actual, what they couldn't go work at other places. That's man, the way those contracts are structured is ridiculous. The more I learn about them, the more ridiculous they seem.
Yeah, that's how it is. DBZ is such a big, huge franchise that you got to understand to keep your voice actors healthy, keep them all together and things like that. So that's the best way they go about those things. Yeah. But beyond that, because beyond that, like Chris Sabat said, he was like, look, Mark, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, you know what I mean? Me, Bruce Faulkner's a cool dude or whatever like that, but just do a little bit more research. I know how you feel about this kind of thing when it comes to music and fans and stuff, but he flat out just chopped it up with me, and he was like, do a little bit more research when it comes to that, especially with you being a producer. Wow. I said, okay. So next thing you know, KamehamehaCon comes around the corner, and then they say SSJ, because Geekdom actually spoke them up. That was the first time they ever appeared anywhere Dragon Ball Z period related.
Wow.
Ever.
So who came up with the idea for those guys to reunite at KamehamehaCon then?
They did. They just said, hey, let's get all together and then do a band, have a band and maybe tour a con or two or things like that. So when I met him at KamehamehaCon, which was actually my birthday weekend, it was really cool. I went out for my birthday and I was starstruck, dude. Like, it's crazy that the reason why you do music, you meet up with those individuals and they talk to you like a regular person. That means a lot.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that whole experience is amazing.
Yeah. So I've talked on the show about, I had a very interesting interaction with Sean Schimmel a couple of years ago. I had a great interaction with Chris Sabat at the same convention, although it was much more brief than my Schimmel one. I had a very negative interaction with Michael J. White, Black Dynamite one time, and that kind of bad taste in my mouth.
Right.
But like I always say, like, it's kind of risky being your hero sometimes, but in this case, it worked out for you.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a blessing.
So they were down to earth dudes, and what's it like now? Are you guys still in contact or?
Oh yeah, I actually do a little bit of work with them and things of that nature. So we talk on a regular. We went from the stage of me being a fan to me being a friend.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man.
Oh, yeah.
So you know what? I think that's a pretty good segue into your first tune. Then we're gonna put on Super Saiyan, which was the first tune that you sent to me as like a teaser the other day.
Yeah,
setting this whole thing up. Let's play that one and yeah.
Okay.
Starlight, star bright. What I wish tonight if I reach Super Saiyan. Plateaus, long strides. Wait till I take flight. Become Super Saiyan.
Moments have come and went. People have come and gone. For this wish Shinron's a soar far beyond any forms of limit the competition is given. And go for the head like an Indonesian religion. My level is off the
Yo, that
charts.
Indonesian
Don't know
religion
where to
going
start.
for the headline, is that a
Cardiac
reference to
arrest.
Nemu
Break the
from
shackles
Dragon Ball?
apart. I feel it deep in my heart. My
Alright,
life's
cool. I
giving me
thought I
a
picked up
beating.
on that, but I
Thanks to
thought
my
maybe I was making it
perseverance,
up in my
doubts
head.
started
Alright, cool.
receding.
Not at all.
Seeing is believing. I'm 2020 prepared. Never been misguided and blinded by solar flares. Won't take sitting down while obliterate all cares and move one step forward on any terms with affairs. But I understand a Super Saiyan is a fantasy. Being able to fly, match powers to different galaxies. But in my mind, it's a dream that I have to reach. Gather all 7 for the chance to breach.
I think I count like 12, 13 different Dragon Ball references in that first verse.
Yeah.
And then you drop back into this catchy as fuck auto-tune hook. I love it. And then this next verse, the black bottle mist, and then the sacred water. I'm like, yo, what?
I await for
Yeah, man.
Dreams can be far-fetched. Power's the metaphor that I got in my conquest to do wherever it takes for me to work at my best ability that I haven't reached yet. Trust the process. Can't deny, just wanna be greater. Don't want my career to be Yamcha in the crater. Don't ask for any favors or handouts. Not trying to disappear, I ain't feeling a dynamic route. So hear me out, hear me clearly. Been working at it yearly. Attack with big bangs that crumble up theories. Yeah, I hit the bottom and still exist. Even was surrounded by the harshest black water mist. Know that I'm the one you see, that black water mist. Soar to the top for that risk to get the sacred water sip. I'm never coming down. My dream is no hobby. So be on the lookout. No Dende or Kami.
Starlight, starbright. What I wish tonight. If I reach Super Saiyan. Plateaus, long strides. Wait till I take flight.
But the insider line of that is, I'll be on the lookout whether it's somebody new or somebody who knew me. Because Kami is the one of the first that everybody recognized for Dragon Ball Z, and then it got passed on to Dende.
Very true.
That's 2 eras of the show.
That's a good point, man. Hey, you know what I realized, or not realized, you know what I learned the other day? Do you fuck with Mr. Fusion at all on YouTube?
I want to say if I seen the channel, I'm pretty sure I know.
He's like a long-haired blonde dude who does a series called Dragon Ball Dissection.
Oh, I gotta see that.
Dude, he does such a good fucking job. You can kind of I could see how some people could be annoyed with him because he's very Facebook with the Japanese pronunciation of literally everything. So shit like Kururi and Buruma and shit like that, which I'm 100% fine with, but I could see how not everybody would be cool with it.
It happens.
But he really does like a faithful dissection of all of the manga, and I want to say he's like up to the Cell games at this point. But he goes through all the Japanese source material and just breaks it down beat by beat and just kind of comments on it. He's a funny dude. But he does this like not alternate, but like this companion series to it. I think he does it like once every couple months where he'll break down one of the ridiculous fucking Dragon Ball Z movies. Mm-hmm. And he broke down one the other day. I want to say it's the first Cooler movie when Cooler first comes to Earth. And
Yep.
I think it's the beginning. I could be wrong on the movie, so if I am, I apologize. But it's one of the Cooler movies. But the beginning of the movie, it opens up with Dende on the lookout, and he's just like, "Oh shit, a super powerful person's coming to Earth to fuck things up. This is crazy." And then he like breaks down the timeline as to when that happened in Japan, right? Mm-hmm. That movie comes out like 6 full months before Kami and Piccolo fuse, and Dende eventually ends up taking over what happens, proceeding the Cell games. So the movie completely spoiled the fact that Dende was going to take over as, the god of birth.
Wow.
Fucking way to go, Toei, Bandai, you dummies.
Bunch of dummies.
All right, so we're talking with Mark Cooper. Saturday, his album The All Spark is coming out, and we just listened to Super Saiyan, which was that first tune that he sent me as like a little teaser the other day. Obviously, I think I counted I don't know, like 24-ish Dragon Ball references I'll have to go.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there, including a super, like, I thought deep cut, because it took like the third listen I caught it. You caught on Namu with the fucking the Holy Cross, like when he goes down and Heavenly Cross, is that what it's called? And he drops down on Goku's throat out of the sky in the 21st century Budokai.
Yes.
Like, what the hell, man? That was a deep cut, but you got it in there. You got a bunch in there.
Oh yeah, you got when you get better at this stuff and always constantly writing, you have to think of clever ways of saying certain things.
It's amazing. So I think that the fact that you've got an entire song that have a bunch of Dragon Ball references, and the hook obviously ties it all together with that catchy auto tune thing that gets stuck in my fucking head now. So thank you. I realize that's your job as a songwriter, but Christ, man, that thing like is an earworm. Why do you think Dragon Ball Z as an anime resonates so much with hip hop culture? Like, I hear Dragon Ball Z lines leak into rap songs seemingly way more regularly than I remember it having happened in the past, obviously. But I mean, there's like some kid who, I don't know if he's a fucking garbage rapper or what. I don't want to listen to him, but like, he calls himself Kid Buu and like says he's Rasen and shit like that. Like, Dragon Ball Z is fucking everywhere in hip hop culture. Why do you think that is?
Well, check this out, man. There's a genre out there that these kids really don't know exist, but it's a genre. It's called nerdcore. Nerdcore is a genre where there's a group of rappers that rap about pop references when it comes to video games, anime, comic books, all those particulars. There was always a lane for that. And the thing is about when it comes to the internet, nowadays, I don't like to say it like this, but there are some kids out there that are really, really afraid to let people know what their main interest is. And now, thanks to the internet and things like King Vader and SSJ and Tut Weezy and RDC World One and people like that, they feel it's comfortable and it's okay and it's cool to the fact that you like anime, you like going to comic conventions, you like doing that. It's became a trend. And with our urban youth, they decided to combine together. Hey, I don't want to be this rapper that keeps rapping about money, cars, clothes, and hoes, because that's not my lifestyle. And people feel more comfortable rapping about what they lived with. And I was one of those kids also, even though I was a little older. I grew up in the era when I was rapping, it was G-Unit, it was Eminem, it was because I'm from Detroit. So all we hear is gang banging stuff. So what do we do when we write songs? We copy basically what they were doing because we think that's the formula. We haven't developed this artist being like, yo, I don't want to do it anymore. And that's where nerdcore came in. And that's where the big YouTube video game raps came from. Like one of my great friends, Skull Cruncher 13, aka JT Machinima, that's what he did. He made Halo raps, Left 4 Dead games and all that. And all he did was rap about the story or the basic concept of what the game is about.
Shit, man, that's like a trifecta of 3 different situations coming together to really help, a genre emerge. Dude, you think about that shit. You get an oversaturation of stuff like Eminem and whatever the fuck you've got going on in Detroit that you don't want to be able to, you think that you got to replicate it to some extent because you think that's what success means. But like at the same time, there's so much of it, you're probably getting tired of it too. At the same time, you got the rise of YouTube that allows people to go out and make these videos and share them and find an audience, whether that be a rap about Dragon Ball or Halo or whatever the fuck else. And
right.
Then it's like the segmentation of the internet and like communities of it and how things have become smaller and more grouped and more fragmented. If you're into a particular fandom, like the fans or the big fans or the serious fans of that fandom. For Dragon Ball Z, it's definitely like that. Like you and I probably have a lot of the same friends or know a lot of the same people because this is a fandom that we're pretty passionate about. But you take all 3 of those things and put them together, and that's really what gave the opportunity for nerdcore to like find an audience and become such a big thing and influential on hip hop.
Exactly.
Shit, man, that's a lot. I just said so many things.
Yeah, man, and all it will do is just get bigger, and it'll be one day there will be a day where there will be a mainstream market for nerdcore, even though there is one now, but it'll be even bigger than before because now, you know, the internet did one great thing, and something I always tell everybody: the internet and the streaming services did one great thing. You have finally allowed a person to choose what they wanted to listen to.
Yeah, you're not the prisoner of you're not subjected to the things on TV. You can go out and seek your own content.
Yes, you can literally find your own people. Indie artists can find their own fan bases that they didn't even know existed, because they think they're going to have to make a Cardi B song or a Drake song or something like that. You could be rapping about Samurai Champloo, and then you'll find 30,000 people who love that song because you talked about Samurai Champloo.
Hey man, that's how we find our audiences, man. We talk about things that are emotionally resonant with them. For whatever reason, people have a strong, particularly emotional resonance when it comes to Dragon Ball. And I think that's why I have a Dragon Ball podcast. Otherwise, people wouldn't give a shit enough to listen to it.
Well, you do have a good podcast, but I can't say people wouldn't listen to it. But it does bring some people, man. You know that.
Thanks, man. But all right, so we've listened to the Dragon Ball. So nerdcore is pretty much how you would define yourself as I hate to try to put labels or definitions on somebody as a fucking musician because that's stupid. But
okay,
if you had to classify what you're doing in terms of your artistic endeavor at this point, nerdcore?
Yes, I'll be a nerdcore hip hop artist, but my particular genre that if I did create it, it'd be called nostalgic rap because I rap about anything of my nostalgia.
Word. I like that nostalgic rap. So let's listen to another tune that is definitely in the vein of nerdcore. In that it's very. I listened to it once through before we jumped on today, and I got a lot of Disney references out of it for sure. We're gonna listen to Special Stage. Is this one off the new album as well?
Well, Special Stage is not the Disney references. That's completely different.
Ah, man, I'm a dummy then.
Oh no, you're right.
No, I'm thinking
you're
of Magic.
okay.
I'm thinking of Magic.
Yeah, Magic's the one with the Disney Magic and Disney.
Magic's what I want then. All right, we're gonna listen to Magic. I was gonna reset the whole song, except that I set up the right song. I meant to do Magic. Special Stage is at the end. Wait for Special Stage, everybody. That one's coming up.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. I could definitely pick Saturday morning cartoons. I know that like the back of my
Hello, player. Well, I must say, I'm impressed with your progress so far. So much that maybe I can be nice for a change.
What are you about to do?
Well, since I'll be giving you such detailed topics, I guess I can give you something more simple. Good luck.
Are you serious?
Talks to Jiminy Cricket.
Remember the magic.
Here goes nothing.
I'm probably going to try to be obnoxious and talk to you about what samples you used for this song because it's super catchy.
Oh yeah, you'll be mad where I got it from, but you know.
Is it Mariah Carey?
No.
That sounds like Mariah Carey.
It's the Disney Parade.
History lesson, 1957. Castle built in the land, displaying a slice of heaven. Question if Oswald was Mickey's secret weapon. Could we? On the menu, ratatouille, the recipes, making your tail spin, but only bare necessities, catching me so collectively, all types of perspectives. From Mary Poppins to great mouse detectives. So evil like Corella DeVille, flow so deep, the vocals for Ursula Steele's a never-ending debate. And Jafar second rate, then my Maleficent visions in the mirrors will look great, so now wait. Space Mountain in the theme park. A limited fast pass when the line starts. So Fantasmic couldn't expect anymore. Until then, the business star tours. Bye-bye. Keep it 101, no need for the pongo. Elephants elephants in the room, and I'm soaring over these dumbos, hotter than teacups with the merry-go-round flow. Don't get too picky, all ears like Mickey and Minnie. Sketch out the characters knowing there will be plenty. Hidden deep in the south where the souls are never empty. And right through the bone with a silly symphony sent me. I know, take me back to Disney as a college grad. In all the greatest moments that I ever had, putting life in park. Cast members will understand, live life as a fantasy cruise into Tomorrowland. Started off with resorts representing the world, showing all the magic to all the boys and girls, hoping they pay attention to things that's really happening. Glance to figure out what Walt Disney's imagining.
Motherfucker. Wow. So this isn't a magic from Mark Cooper. Mark, I just didn't realize how Disney that song was.
Oh yeah, man. Sometimes you gotta, when it's a Disney track, you better Disney it up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, if you're gonna do Disney, you gotta do it right, because it's Disney, man.
Yeah, you get in trouble for that. So,
No fucking around with Disney. So talk to me about how that track came together, because you said that you worked for, while we were talking there, I missed a little bit of what you said, only because I turned the volume up and started jamming to it.
I got you.
So talk to me about, you worked for Disney for, you said 6-7 years?
Yeah, about 6 years.
So what did you do for them?
Well, to be honest, first it was 2010. I was in college. You get to that breaking point where you're saying, like, so what do you really want to do? Is this thing worth it? Blah 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 blah. Yeah. And then there was a Disney seminar thing that they had for the college program thing. I said, why not? I'll go to the thing. I didn't have anything to do, and classes weren't until 6 o'clock. So I went, and they was like, yeah, you can apply for the Disney college program and be able to, go to work at Disneyland or Disney World, whatever you get to choose. Is a great opportunity for the resume. I said, that would be good, to actually give that a shot. So around that time, they were like, yeah, you just fill out this huge questionnaire thing, because Disney is thorough about everything.
I believe it.
Like they probably have pictures of you that you don't even know that's there. You know what I'm saying? Just for the sake of, right. So there was about, I think maybe 200, 300 people applied. And I was like, I didn't hear nothing. Then found out they called back 6 people. And I was one of them. So I was like, okay, you got me in the second interview. All right, that's great. Let me just go through this phone interview. And then they were like, 2 weeks later, they had a setup where it was like, well, we figured out we only have one candidate left that'd be great for the job, and it was me. So out of like 250, 300 applicants, I was the one they picked from Detroit. So I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then the rest was history there. I got to live out in California for about 6 months, where they have their housing and things like that. Made up with a lot of great friends and opportunities, and things spurred up together.
So what were you doing for them, like on a day-to-day basis?
Well, honestly, I worked at the park. It seemed like it was a setup because, you work at the park, like work at the food joints or work at all those particulars. During that, use that to make the money to be able to pay the rent that they have us in the housing thing, which is fine. It is what it is. That's, a job is a job. You got to do what you got to do. But the main point is to go to the classes and network and meet the opportunities. And also, since you're under Disney's umbrella, you have a better chance of being able to get better jobs, like with ABC or ESPN or Marvel or whatever was in particular, setups back then.
Yeah, all the general stuff that falls underneath their umbrella. So
exactly.
So talk to me about where the sample for that song came from, because the first time I heard it, all I could think of was like a Mariah Carey song that goes like, and
not at all.
What the hell is that sample from? Please educate me.
All right. when you work at Disney, you hear the same thing every single day.
It's a small world after all, I imagine.
Oh, well, no, I wasn't on that part of the land, thank God. But I was over in the New Orleans area with like where they play like Princess Tiana stuff, and they played a lot of jazz. They play a lot of jazz over there.
Cool.
So which is pretty cool. But when it came to parade time at 3:00 and all those particular things, they would have this, remember the magic, and everybody and all the kids are super hype about it. But one time I tried sampling in 2012. I wasn't as great as I am now. I was doing it and I was like, oh wow, this could be really cool. I picked a certain part of the song that I liked and I was like, oh, this could be pretty cool, to flip that. But I wasn't nowhere as great as it is. Yeah. So here I am, like 5-6 years later, I still have the sample. I said, okay, let me try this again. And then everything clicked together. And then it was like, wow, that's crazy. And I just did it.
Just recorded the sound of these people and the kids freaking out in the middle of the day or whatever?
No, I found a track. I actually found a track of it because friends of mine I know had to practice that in the parade, the routine. So they were able to show me what the name of the song was, and I was able to get it.
So people who go to college there or whatever that's what drives the nostalgia part of that song for them.
Exactly.
Word. All right, I get it. I think that's the part of the thing that I missed while I was jamming. So I just wanted to make sure.
Oh no, man, it's no big deal. But that's really what that is.
At the end of that song, there's a part with like two dudes who are like singing like two harmony lines together. What is that part?
Oh, that's actually one guy. His name is KJ. You could definitely check him out. He does vocal. I forget what they call it. I'm thinking of the word. They do acapella songs. Like they do like acapella medleys. Basically, like when you can have like 20 different parts, and they basically make a medley with their voice. I can't think of the word right now. I'll know right when I get off. But his name's KJ, and he does it for Kingdom Hearts.
Oh shit! So he does like a bunch of Kingdom Hearts shit.
He does Kingdom Hearts. I've seen him do This Is Halloween for Jack Skellington for Nightmare Before Christmas. And he does a couple of them. He has it on Instagram, not Instagram. He has it on Spotify and things like that. And he's got a new project coming out. I'm not sure when he's going to release that, but that's what he does, and he's great at it. So I reached out to him because that's technically nerdcore anyway. So I said, hey, I'm doing an album like this. Would you want to do it? He said, no problem, man. I really like your music. And then that's how that came about. So really nerds tend to unite and come together more than the regular people, because being a nerd, you ain't reaching for clout. Because there's no clout to reach for right now. You know what I mean? So that's where that comes in.
We do this stuff because we love it, not because we're making fucking bucks.
Exactly.
Goddamn right. All right. Well, I think I pretty much. Outside of. I got a couple more Dragon Ball questions for. I think we hit most of the music stuff. So before we listen to the last tune of the day off the new album, I wanted to get a couple of general opinions, man. This is a Dragon Ball podcast after all, right? So
100%.
So you started watching Dragon Ball on Toonami back in the day. So you were a dub kid first.
Oh yeah.
What were your overall impressions of Dragon Ball Super as a series? Were you watching that shit as it was airing live in Japan each week?
Yes, I was.
So what were your impressions of Super as a series?
Well, the way Super was for me, it was like, hey, Mark, you can watch this show again as an adult. And it's okay. You know what I'm saying? You don't ever think about, what's the best way to explain it? You don't be thinking about, hey, aren't you too old watching cartoons, things like that in that nature. Well, that generation with the internet and all that stuff changed. Since I'm a nostalgic person, why not watch something I watched as a kid, as an adult, and enjoy it brand new? Because one of my dreams is to be able to make something for the show. That was one of my dreams, to being a producer.
And now you got some ties to the SSJ guys, which is dope.
Exactly. So, it's nothing greater than, literally being friends with the people, the reason why you make music. That means a lot.
Absolutely. And if anything, I think it would, like you take the initial inspiration from those people and then you meet them, like you said, and they were awesome people to you. And now that you've, become friends with them, they inspire you in like a different way. It's like, hey, you can be this successful and this excellent at your job and still be like a grounded, cool person. How cool is that?
Exactly. That's amazing.
That's fucking awesome, man. Now, the Broly movie, what'd you think?
I saw it twice in theaters.
So was the second time because you loved it or because you were unsure?
The second time is because I wanted my main friends to see it with me.
All right, so the first time you saw it, would you go solo?
Yeah, I went solo. I saw a friend of mine or whatever I knew from school, sat with him, that kind of thing. But
Word.
yeah, so it's definitely great.
I guess I don't know. What'd you think about the end where they kind of leave it open for Broly to be either a douche or a cool guy?
It's fair. The reason why is because watching it from the movie aspect, he really didn't have a reason. He was just overly powerful. And I like the fact that they kind of rewrote it because, like the first time they made Vegeta look like a bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
right.
like, oh my God, it's a legendary Super Saiyan and blah, blah, blah. Although it was a lot more brutal how Paragus got killed, but it shouldn't have been that comedic, but it was very funny.
I don't know. I kind of think the first way they killed Broly, the first way they killed Paragus with Broly killing him was way more fucking brutal in my opinion. That scene has so much weight when he tries to escape and you're like, yo, this dude's about to bail on his only fucking kid, and then the kid's like, nah, fuck all that, and crushes his goddamn face.
I know, but the
Broly is such a dick.
yeah, it was worth it, but yeah, I like it. I like the fact that they actually gave Broly a quote unquote side, just because they're going to get ready to go with the universes. And I keep up with DBZ Heroes. I keep up with Heroes.
Yeah, man. We just covered the latest episodes of Heroes the other day. What do you think about Heroes?
That thing is amazing. Although it seems like every one of the interns grabbed everything from GT and put it in there the correct way, like the Android baby kids.
Yeah, man, those fucking twins are scary as hell.
Yeah, so they got that.
And that other episode, or I don't know if it's his most recent one, but the episode before, because I watched them both the other day in succession. I'm not good at watching them when they first come out, but like those Saphirian kids are like half Saphirian, but like half computer, and they've been programmed with all this data about everybody, and the Saphirians decided that these two kids were way too fucking dangerous and that they were going to try to kill them. And then they said, nah, fuck that. And they killed all the Saphirians. Like, that's some heavy shit, man. What the hell?
Yeah, it is. But I honestly thought they were going to say the Tuffles, and they didn't. And I was like, okay, now I know what you're trying to do.
No, Saphirians and Tuffles are basically the same thing. I think Tuffles is like the American localization of Saphirians, right? I just say Saphirians because I'm a fucking snob.
You know what? That might be it. That might be the Japanese version, what they call them now from the Tuffles. But that's the shit that's crazy about it. But I like the fact that when they're making these enemies, it makes a little bit more sense. I'm not caught up in, when you watch as an adult, you'd be like, how the fuck that happened?
Yeah.
But,
you have some common sense and you're like, hey, this is a show that's written to not make sense. So, I'm just going to enjoy it.
Right. So now when you see superheroes, right, the best way is just look at it for the sake of having fun and enjoying it.
Yeah.
But there are some individuals on YouTube that will analyze it so ridiculously hard that you just sit there and be like, damn, I feel like a retard, man. Like, what's going on?
It's not even that. I think that those people just need to get a fucking hobby. And I've bitched about several of those people in the past. Like, dude, it is a show. I mean, if you want to follow like power level logic or whatever, that shit is thrown out right around the time scouters start exploding off of people's faces like they are Samsung phones. So when that shit starts happening, dude, power scaling's completely thrown out. Okay, it's then written at that point to not make sense with power scaling. If you base your YouTube career around power scaling, please don't cover anything past the fucking Frieza arc. All right, please.
Yeah, there's no point, especially when I get mad. I love Death Battle. I really do. Yeah. I hate the Goku and Superman thing. That triggers me every day.
That's like, I can't count how many groups I'm in on Facebook where one of the rules in the group rules explicitly is no Goku versus Superman posts. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'll guess at least 10. At least 10 have that rule. No Goku versus Superman posts. They're the same person, man. Just one's Japanese.
That's what I would say.
Especially after this past fucking Broly movie. All right, dude. Let's listen to the last tune. This is a special stage. This is the one that I accidentally almost played earlier. This is off the new album, right?
Yep, off the Allspark. Actually, all these are off the Allspark.
All these are off the Allspark. Word. All right. I thought Magic was an older tune for some reason, but cool. So all of these are off the Allspark. It's dropping on Saturday, March the 2nd, and we'll pick up where you can find it right on the other side of this tune.
Okay.
Yeah. For what it's worth, my weight in gold, my spirit's heavy. You never felt the struggle, you was never ready. Cause dreams are sketchy on troubled waters with jet skis. Way waters don't impress me, on thin ice is Gretzky. Author to these kings through the nights of justice. Don't discuss it, cause having doubts is not productive. I won't trust it, like a scheme for pyramids. Winning is never easy, break it down to the narrative. Know what real terror is, offbeat, no ad-libs. Falling short despite all efforts that your parents did. Embodying what you never find. I'm settling for the ceiling simply when you scared to climb. Keep that in mind, my soul is well treated. Powers combined, Captain Planet, heart ring still needed. Sitcom, Rollo, good luck when I preach it. Hope you can yap back when I repeat it. I used to stare at all my problems, suffer through the consequence.
Hope you can yak back when I repeat it, dude. Nice.
Yeah, people don't remember that toy.
Oh no, I had a fucking yak back. I feel like yak back was like a fucking market response to people wanting Kevin McAllister's recorder in Home Alone 1 and 2.
And I got that.
I never had that. I just got a yak back.
Till you see the diamonds reflecting off the victory. In the dirt like Philly Lil DeVille. Looking for worms till I know the birds are sleeping still. On the real, I'll do more than what they will say. Go harder than Jolly Ollie Man did on career day. I've been hungry, suffered at the lunches though. Cause I remember I was lunching on Lunchables. Trying to figure out whatever direction now I'm trying to go. Got enough in when I was working up at Domino's. Same woes that Blizz and Crimson can feel. In January, enough bills to give me the chills. Keep it 100, not keeping the mill. The ones that screw you over, the ones that get you the drill. Got bars most media can't handle yet. For girls, R. Kelly live so scandalous. No scope, take the halo as a favor. I'll make you Mr. Freeze while I pull out the Schwarzenegger. X and O, it's gonna be a Cats game. Have a more missing it. 10-10's last name. I got the brain to take over the world. My pinky is in the sky for the fancy boys and girls. Rocking a turtleneck sweater. Check the attire. Know I'm suited to be better. Never had a ruler cause I feel it to measure. I know I'm the one. So exit the never
They could just totally fly over their fucking head and they just think it's some other fucking regular old hip-hop song, not in the vein of nerdcore. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, and that's the fun part.
Like, how much of it do they get?
And that's what makes it awesome.
How much of the joke are they in on?
Yeah, and what makes it even cooler is that it requires them to go back and listen to it and really understand.
Right?
And it leaves something for those analyzer kids. What did Mark Cooper really mean in Special Stage? Let's go and digest this verse.
It's true, man. Very fucking dense. Densely packed verses for people to digest, for sure.
That's the best way to do it, man.
Word. All right. Well, Mark Cooper, Dragon Ball Super Dope, man. How do you feel about your first Super Dope appearance?
I feel amazing about it. I've been listening to you guys, and it's a blessing that you actually have me in this, and I really appreciate it.
Nah, man. If we can throw a couple more downloads your way, I'm more than happy to help. I dig the tunes. I dig the lyrics. I dig the production for sure. So, Dragon Ball Super Dope fans, if you like some of the tunes you heard today, why don't you go download Mark's album? Where can they find it?
Well, the best way you can find me is just look up just Mark Cooper on Spotify. Come right up. Also, you can, when my website and everything is put up, it'd be called itsmarkcooper.com. So ITS Mark Cooper. You can actually type that all in on Google, and you'll find everything you need to know about me.
Word, man. It's markcooper.com. All right. Dragon Ball Super Dope. Mark, thanks again, man. We'll have to have you back on. Maybe we can fucking talk with you again about Maybe you can be the conduit to one of those SSJ dudes, so we can get an idea of how it was, what it was like to work for Falconer back in the day.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I definitely would let them know.
Cool, man. Dope. Super dope. Make sure you listen, rate, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, blah, 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 blah. Super dope. Cooper dropping album on Saturday.
Nice.